Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Today, we are joined by a woman known for her mental conditioning work with athletes in the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, just to name a few. She's actually the former Phoenix Suns mental skills coach, and she was honored by the WNBA with their prestigious Most Inspiring Woman Award. She's a board certified therapist, a sought after keynote speaker, the author of the best selling book, The Art of Bouncing Back. And today we're going to try and answer the question, how do we all build the mental edge of a champion? And Darleen Santore, thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks, Brett, for having me on. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one, for a while. I'm very familiar, with your work and your content. And I think you've just got a really important message for really anyone, whether you're an athlete or an executive. If you're looking to thrive, there's going to be some takeaways from this show. And, I guess kind of right off the bat, I mean, you have worked with, billionaire executives. You've worked with the greatest athletes in the world. Like, how does the mindset of a truly great athlete or a truly great executive differ from someone who's merely good?
I would say the difference of good to great is they truly believe. Like there is a belief system within themselves that they know that things may fail. They know that things are risky. They know that things are a challenge, but they believe that they will, because they know what they're bringing to the table, that they will consistently be able to show up. So belief and consistency and this resilience within them is probably key traits that I see in all of them. They have this unrelentless desire to be something bigger. They know there's more in them. So it constantly, I mean, even if it's a billionaire, there's constantly something in them that knows there's more. They want to tackle, they want to achieve, and they're consistent in it. They believe in themselves, and they're willing to take the risk. They're willing to fall and get back up too. They're not afraid to fall, and which is, I think, is a big thing because fear doesn't hold them back on that. And it's not to say they don't doubt or that they don't have valleys at times. They just bounce back faster because they either surround themselves with the right people, they've done the work to build mental resiliency, they've also had enough experience to say, been there, done that. I know how this
Right.
feels. Let's keep going. We're going to be okay.
I love that. And I love how you kind of boiled it down succinctly to, belief and consistency, right? You've got to have that self-belief, because if you don't believe that you can accomplish the goal, then what's going to keep you coming back to the table every day when you're not seeing results in the first year, 2, 3, 5, 10 years,
Yeah.
the amount of time it actually takes to do something great. And that belief enables you to continuously show up for yourself and for your goals. And in the great athletes, the great executives that you've worked with over the years, do you feel like that the self-belief, the consistency is something that a lot of them are just kind of born with innately, or do you think it's something that's you can develop over time?
Well, just because I know human behavior, there are some people that are just born with more of a boldness to them. They are just
Mhm.
born with this boldness. They're more apt to take risks. That's innately. You could see it in young kids literally at 3 years old that they have this desire to go. It's part of who they are. However, I have worked with so many people that I know if I could help people see where they're gifted in, honestly, where their abilities are, and if we could keep working on their abilities and their strengths, be aware of their blind spots, but we make their strengths stronger, they will show up more confident. And then they start to believe because they put the reps in. They show up, they work on it, they hone it. They show up, they work on it, they hone it. And then after a while, you go, you know what? I'm pretty damn good at this area. I should stay in this lane and should keep optimizing this. And that's what I tell everyone. Everyone has the ability to be great. It's whether they step up to the call to do it. It's a choice, and that choice is showing up consistently, and working on your craft consistently, and working on you being not only good for yourself but good as a human and a leader, because you could show up and be great all day, but if you don't know how to transfer that greatness to others and around you, you can't win as a team, because the team is definitely not a solo sport unless you're playing tennis.
In which case, but in that case, you've still got a team. You've got a trainer.
And a
You've
team
got
around.
you,
Yeah.
you've got people that are
And
helping
you
you
treat
bring.
people well, so they want to help you.
For sure, 100%. That's a big part of the game is building a great culture, building a team,
Yeah.
and an everyone wins mentality. I think that that's truly the way to scale something great. And I love how you talked about how it's important to kind of lean into your strengths, right? If you really want to achieve greatness, you were given a few God given, innate
Mhm.
strengths that you need to lean into. I mean, you can,
Yeah.
swim upstream and try and get great at something that you're not innately good at, and it might work, but you're going to probably enjoy the process a lot more if you lean into those
Right.
God-given 3 or 4 strengths. And just curious, how do you help people find those strengths? How do we know what our innate God-given abilities are so that we can lean into them?
I think doing inventory of first start asking people, hey, when you see me showing up to different places, what am I good at? What do you see are some of my strengths? So start seeking feedback from people that are trusted sources. You're not going to Twitter asking this. You're going to your trusted sources and asking, hey, what am I good at? Take inventory. And then also, what lights you up? What comes natural? What allows you to be in your flow state so easily, quickly? And once you start to get and identify these areas, now you could start crafting them. And so I may be good at, obviously, communication and teaching is a big part of my world, and I hone that. And I may be good at a couple of other things, but they don't light me up maybe as much. So I stay in the things that also not only am I good at, but they really light me up. Because then that allows me to show up with more energy. It allows me to transfer that to other people easily. And again, I'm about flow state, not force state. So when you're in a flow state, work isn't work anymore. It's just you literally are excited about what you're about to do. And so when you have people take inventory and also see what lights them up, you then say, okay, where does this meet the world's needs? Where does my skills and talents and abilities meet the world's needs? And that becomes purpose. And then you start seeking that out, and you could start trying out some things and let me dabble in this area. If you're just in the beginning stage, so say you're working right now listening and you're at a company or an organization and you're really not happy and you
Hmm.
want to make a change, do this inventory, do this check in, seek information from people around you, and then start seeing what areas of business, life, or organizations that you get excited and you align with, and then start seeing if they need your needs and then show up so that you're not doing it in the reverse. Because you can say, well, I'm good at this, and then, okay, well, this company's hiring, but they don't light you up at all. Their
Right.
culture, their values, nothing about it. Oh, but they pay well, but it's like a prison inside for you. So don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, I think and so many people fall into that trap, right? Is they just they're like, oh, a little more salary here, a little bit more salary there, but the work doesn't light them up, and then
No.
you snap your fingers, and you're 80 years old, and you're looking back on your life, and you're like, boy, I didn't really ever go after work that truly lit me up, and to me, there's probably nothing sadder that I could think of than that, and I think too many people. Just don't really go for it. And I think it's like you said, because they don't really even know what their strengths
Right.
are. They don't know what to go for. But I
Right.
think that process of just asking, 2 or 3 or 4, trusted family members or friends, and, get a little vulnerable, like what do you think my greatest
Right.
characteristics and skills are? And 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, they're going to be happy to sit down and tell you. But it is a vulnerable thing to ask someone,
Yeah.
even your best friends,
Yeah.
what do you think are my best characteristics or
Mhm.
skills? But it's a process worth going through, especially for anyone out there that feels a little lost in their path. I love that. That's a really powerful exercise.
I want to add something. It just came to me, but I really think teams should do this too. Not just sports teams, but if people are within a company right now, have your team start asking within the team, what am I good at? And how could I be better at this so that your team gets stronger? So, not only is this to find your path, but this is also to make sure your strengths keep getting stronger. Seek feedback now while you're in the middle of it so your team and you could get stronger and you can keep working on your strengths. I think that's a lost thing that happens within once you get settled into one place, that honing your skills within there, because it just assumes everyone's going to be great at it. But look, the pros in sports have to practice every day, watch film, hone their craft day to day. Why are we not doing that every day in life, in our relationships, anything? Seek
Absolutely.
feedback.
Seek feedback, be a little vulnerable, seek that feedback because it is invaluable.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned, some of the pro athletes that you've worked with. And I know that's just something that people love to talk about, right? They love to talk about professional athletes and how they gain the slight edge, because anyone who's gotten to that level is already the top 1%, right? The top 0.01%. I mean, just to
Hmm.
get to that level, you've got to have a good amount of mental toughness. And then they're working with you to really even gain more of a mental edge on their competitors. And I'm just curious, like what does that process look like for you working with a professional athlete that's already ascended to pretty much the top of their profession? What exercises and habits and mindset tweaks are you giving them to really kind of get over the hump and ascend to their own peak performance, whatever that is?
Oftentimes I'm finding out, where are you? Like, where are you in the pros? 1 year, 2 years, seven
Mm-hmm.
years, 18 years. Where are we? What's been working for you? Where do you find that we can get better? And where's the gap? I'm looking for where the gap is, because I want to know, okay, this is where we are. This is where you want to go. This is the gap we want to fill. Now we could start working on tools. And someone who's 1 year or 2 years in the league is different than someone who's 18 years in the league. Because someone 18 years in the league, it might be we're working a lot more on leadership. Honestly, the mindset of a leader and how we're going to get everyone around us to start rallying to help the whole, versus someone year 1 and 2. I'm working on, this game is going to try to eat you up. It's hard. The schedule's hard. You're not used to this pace. You're not even used to all the feedback. So I have to get them mentally prepared for when the hits come, mentally prepared for how to mentally endure the hits of all aspects of the sport. And then also how to remind them to keep their confidence and keep building on their confidence, because they got there for a reason. But it's very easy to lose that spot because someone else is waiting for that spot. So they have to remember, don't just rest on your glory here that you made it. Now you have to start honing in on it. So usually we're doing exercises on, what does that look like? How do we stay here? When you do get hit, how do I help you reframe, bounce back? How do we set goals that we're going to go after, even mentally, emotionally? A lot of this is mental and emotional stamina that we're building on, because just because you made it doesn't mean that you don't lose your confidence some games, doesn't mean that you don't go through hard times, doesn't mean that you don't have fear creeping in. Everyone is a human being doing this human experience that we're all on, this journey. And it doesn't matter whether you're in sports, business, life, you're still going to have some things hit you that you're not going to know what to do. And you need people that you could trust and be vulnerable with, just what we talked about, so that you could work on these things to get back up, and not only get back up, but thrive again. So being a trusted source for them, helping them with exercises to help their mental edge, help their game. And again, I'm not working on how are you hitting that shot from either football, baseball, basketball, but I am telling them your body language is affecting your mechanics, or your mindset is affecting your mechanics. I could see it all over them, from their face to their body, everything. So I watch back film with them too,
I love
and
that.
break things down so that I can help them. And you know what's the greatest thing too is, one, being a trusted advisor, so they have a safe space to go. But also, I love to teach people how to fish, in the sense of, once I start to show them these techniques, they start seeing it in other sports. They'll go, "Oh, Dar, look at how this happened with this guy, or he just shut down, or he lost his zone." And now I know they got it, because if they could see it, then they know how to adjust it.
Right. That's pretty interesting. Yeah. So you're working with a client and then eventually they can see the body language tells of someone who's maybe losing their edge, emotionally on the field. And, curious from like a body language perspective, what do you like to see out of your clients? Is it just good posture? Is it kind of walking around the field with energy? Like what from a body
Yeah.
language perspective are you usually coaching people up on?
Well, I don't want to take away emotions from them, but what I want to do is see if they could get their emotions back to some neutrality so they can get back into the play.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes poise within their body. So you may be pissed at a shot, or you may be upset that the play didn't go that way, and it could be acted out. But then how quickly does your body language come back into its normal state for them? How quickly do I see you shift back up, get ready, get the focus, want to come back into that play, versus staying down, getting back into the play, still, that they're mentally still in the last play. They can't get themselves out of the hamster wheel mentally. And so it takes on into the next play. And now I know that they've just missed being able to be optimal, because the only play you could play is the play you're in. So I'm looking
100%.
at their body language to see how quickly they bounce back into state that allows them to go attack again.
I love that. I think we can all kind of take something from that, whether we're athletes or executives or business owners. We're all going to take our lumps. There's going to be things that happen in our day that we didn't plan, that we're not excited about. How quick can you bounce back? And I think part of bouncing back is just getting your physiology right again, getting your posture right
Absolutely.
again, picking your chin up, getting your breathing
Yeah.
under control. And I think that if we're able to kind of snap back into our strongest possible posture physiology, then our psychology is going to follow. And I think, but if we're slumped over and our heads are down and we're clearly ticked off, then it's going to take a little bit longer for us to bounce back from whatever that hit was on our psyche or our business. I think, and for myself, I know, if I'm walking around with great posture, with a little bit of energy, with my chin up and a slight smile on my face, I'm just getting more done. I really am. I'm just having a more productive day if I really control my body language in that way, instead of being, slumped over in my chair with my laptop up to my chin. And that, to me, that's not my way to be in my most
Yeah.
productive self.
And for everyone listening, I mean, it's, say you're at work and something doesn't go well, or something at home didn't go well, and you're going into work and you have to show up for this presentation. Do things that shift your state. Listen to something that's going to help you. So maybe it's comedy, honestly. Maybe you want to listen to someone who makes you laugh before you go in. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe it's music that you listen to. Sound is so important in neuroscience to help shift our states. So one is sound. If you listen to something and it changes your state, and even if it just, you're singing a song and you're back in the zone, you listen to something, you start laughing. You can't be mad and happy at the same time. So you're shifting your state so that you show up better, and then you'll be present in that meeting. It could be where you're listening to something and now it's not working. Literally drop and do push-ups or squats. Get your blood flowing, because just by doing things that help your physical state will eventually shift your mental state. And sometimes it's exercise, it's walk, it's calling someone. You could say, hey, I have 2 minutes before I walk in. I got to get this off my chest. And then you got to clear it. No difference than I tell a golfer, when you're done with that hole, you put that golf club back into the bag, and that hole is over. My mentor taught me that. It's done. Like, as if there's no going back. That's the same for us. It's over. Close it for a second so you could show up where you're supposed to be. But you've got to do these, what we call, you have to come in and interfere. Create an interference to change the state so you show up better.
I love that. I love that. And I love a little golf analogy. I'm a big golfer, and a big part of having a successful round is learning from the bad shots, but then immediately just walking away from them and just putting all your focus on the next shot. And I think that's why you can learn a lot about life from golf, because there's just so many
Oh,
parallels.
yeah, even with golf. So when you hear, just like in the PGA, you'll hear them talking to their caddy. Okay, maybe we should go right. Maybe we should, you're literally speaking, okay, this is where the shot needs to go. Speak to where the shot needs to go. It's visualization and giving it life. That's the same thing we need to do. You're about to walk into a meeting. This is how I see this going. This is what I want. You're speaking visualization and life into it, just like in golf, so that you know where to go. But that, it's no different than how we show up in life. We're just not using these practices enough to see that this is gold that you get to do when you're helping in mental conditioning. And when you use it enough, consistency, it works.
What do you do with someone that's struggling with negative self-talk, whether they get down on themselves internally after a bad shot, or they get down on themselves after something doesn't go their way? Of course, like, adjusting your physiology, putting on a song you like helps in a big way. Is there anything you ask them to kind of say to themselves or ask themselves in those moments where they're caught in negative self-talk loops?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. When they're in it, first I'll say, get it off, like embrace the suck of it. Like, just get it out. Tell me everything you're pissed about, so they could just get it out. And I say, great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now go down the list with me. What's actually true of those statements you just told me? Because most of the time in the negative self-talk, it's a lot of false self-talk. It's, I suck. That was terrible. I'm not good. I don't even know why I do this. And I'll say, okay, well, none of that is true. Tell me what is true. So, do you actually suck? No. Okay, Great. What are you actually good at? Oh, I'm good at this. So it was a bad game. It doesn't mean you're bad. And you reframe it and you help them start to adjust. It could be you messed up at something at work. You did something, even in a relationship. Like, we don't always have to make this. You could have done something in your own home and say, you know what? I messed up on that. Not that you're a bad person. You tripped up. You're human. Admit it, face it, do something about it, change the behavior. Don't sit in the victim mindset of it. The longer you sit in the victim mindset of it, the longer it stays that way and you can't get out. And what you focus on, you feel. So if you keep harboring on the bad of it, you're going to continue to feel bad. Whereas if you reframe it, focus on what is truth versus what is false, you will start to feel better, which means you show up better.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Challenge that negative self-talk a little bit. Like, is
That's
what I'm thinking right now actually true? And in a lot of cases, it probably won't be. And then maybe even on the flip side, remind yourselves of a couple instances where you were good at whatever that thing was that you just messed up at, and kind of give yourself a little bit of proof, a little bit of like, remind yourself of the resume that you put on paper within that area. And that can kind of get you going in the right direction. So I like that a lot. When negative self-talk comes up, challenge that negative self-talk, because for the most part, most of it is lies.
Our brain does not know literally what is true and what is false unless we tell it. It's the reality of what we feel right now. So you have to literally speak life into your mind for it to know, no, this is the reality. That's not. I mean, it's the neuroscience of the brain is fascinating. That's why visualization and meditation has to do with literally closing your mind and seeing for what you want ahead when you're visualizing. Quarterbacks will go out before everyone comes out on the field, and they'll literally, as if they're throwing those plays, seeing the plays. Speaking, when you get up to give a speech and you're going to get up there, you visualize how the audience reacts to your what you're sharing with them. You go through the pauses. Anything in life you visualize to put it out there, because you're telling the mind what you want ahead of it. It's neuroscience and quantum physics. It's real stuff.
I mean, you brought up visualizing a couple times now, so I kind of want to dive a little bit closer, a little bit deeper into the art and the practice of visualizing your day, the game, whatever you're trying to make happen in your life. For all of us, maybe we're just entrepreneurs or executives, we're not athletes. How can we use visualization? Is this something we should be sitting down and doing every day and visualizing our day? Like, what does the practice actually look like for the rest of us that aren't professional athletes?
Big answer, yes. Literally, yes. Start off. The biggest sports performance tool is visualization, but this is life. So you're going to get up. You get up in the morning. If you get up and you now visualize, okay, these are the meetings that I have today. This is what's on my calendar. Stop and think, okay, for example, I get up and I had a meeting just before this. I visualized, okay, what do I want the meeting? How do I want to show up for it? What's the essence of it? Is literally not even a minute on that. Then I'm like, okay, I'm coming on with you, Brett. How do I want to show up? What is it that we're going to be talking around? And putting some visualization around it. Next, you're literally just teeing up your day, seeing what's coming and how you want to show up. It takes literally minutes to do, so that now you have ownership of your day. You have intention with your day. You visualized how it should be and go. And when you do, you run the day doesn't run you. That's the biggest thing, because if you just get up and go through the motions, you show up in a room, and could you have been better showing up in the room? Yeah, you probably could have, because if you visualized it, you already have an intention of how you want that to go. And you could do this, by the way, start off in the morning, and then when I get off of this podcast and I have to get on my next show, I'm literally going to stop, pause for a second, and then say, okay, how do I want to show up on this next one? What's the premise? I'm putting intention around it so that my energy, my mindset, and myself is present here. Because without that, you're not optimal.
That's powerful stuff right there. So you're just involving kind of little mini visualizations throughout your day before you head into the next segment, whether it's a meeting or a different room or a different activity. Just take 60 seconds and kind of really visualize, how would I want this to happen? What would I want the outcome of this to be, if I could really choose it? And just by taking that 60 seconds and seeing it in your mind of what you want to happen, it's so much more likely to actually come to fruition. That is super powerful powerful. Just little mini visualizations throughout your day. I'm going to start doing that. I'm sold.
Do
You
it.
sold me on that. That's
Yes.
good stuff right there. I like that a lot. So you definitely believe in the art of visualization, and I think everyone should. I think if you look at great athletes and great performers, a lot of them talk about visualizing and how it's so important. Curious what your take is on affirmations. People that get up every morning and they go, "I am confident. I am charismatic. I've got $1 million in the bank." Do you think any of that actually works, or is that just some hocus pocus?
It definitely works. Again, this is we're not people, the people that have brought this to the forefront were not because they're just say this, it feels good. They've done studies on this, and studies show that when you get up and you put power to words, words matter. Your brain is listening. It's literally like a nonstop computer with these electrodes, receptors taking in whatever you give it. So if you're feeding it negative thoughts all the time, it feels that. So how do you negate that? You get up and go, you know what? I'm strong. I'm healthy. I'm confident. I know I'm ready for this. So even looking at a game, when a player's like, come on, you got this, and they say their names, like, you got this, you're good at this, they're giving themselves back the talk they need to hear because it works. And so whether you want to say, I am this, or you've got this, you're speaking life into yourself because you're literally, I mean this, your brain and body is literally like a bunch of receptors taking in data all the time. So you could choose to feed it nothing, you could choose to feed it negative, or you could choose to feed it positive. And when you feed it positive affirmations, Dar, you're healthy, Dar, you're great in this area, Dar, you could show up here, you've got this. Like, you just feed it the information that it needs. Again, it's going to change your state. The receptors are taking that in. And if you're going to feed it anything, you might as well feed it something positive. Then imagine, Dar, you suck. You're not good at this. Like, why even show up today? If that was my friend, I'd be like, who made you my friend? But
Right.
yet you're doing that to yourself. So neuroscience, it is definitely proven that when we say statements to ourselves, so whether you want to say, I am this, I am is powerful in the statement. But again, if you're like, that's too much, all I'm saying is baby steps. Let's start with, you getting up going, Brett, I am good at this, or you've got this today. Say something that's in the direction, like go win the day. Come up with maybe a phrase. Maybe it's come up and just create a mantra. Today I'm here to go win the day to make an impact in people's lives. I mean, I say to myself, Dar, get up today, your day again, to go and awaken greatness in someone today. Speak life into themselves. I'm literally saying that daily. Like, go speak life into people. And one, it gives me an intention and a purpose, because there's days that, you don't want to get up. But you have to understand, all of us, by the way, did not come here for ourselves. We didn't come here to self-seek, to literally be hedonistic and get whatever we want, however we want. That's not why you came. And if you think you did, it's going to be a pointless journey. You came to serve. You came with a gift that it really is your goal to hone that gift. So then the people around you, you serve the world with that. That's why you came. So when you're having a bad day, as we all have, there's days where I've wanted to say uncle so many times, like I'm done. But I literally realized, just like there's people fighting for our freedom right now, well, we're fighting for our life every day. And we're fighting for a mission. So get up and serve that mission. And that's how you'll get up on the days that you don't want to. Because it's not about you or I. It's about we. It's about literally what we serve around here, who we serve. We weren't born into this world just to have everything. We were born in this world to serve.
I like that. I mean, I love a lot about what you said right there. And I agree, whether it's I am or you are, it's important to focus on having some positive self-talk. And I'll be honest with you, I think I almost kind of prefer the you are a little bit more.
Yeah.
For me, that's more powerful because it almost creates another layer of identity. It's almost like I'm coaching myself, like I'm a friend to myself at this point. And, sometimes it's really positive stuff like, Brett, you're doing great, like keep going. And then sometimes I've got to give myself a little nudge too, like a little bit of tough love. Like you said, it's 3 p.m. and things haven't been going my way and I just want to cry uncle and go to the driving range. But there's things on my to-do list that I know I should be doing. And I go, hey, Brett, you maybe haven't knocked out of the park yet today, but you have people to serve. You've got things that you promised yourself you would do. And if you really want to make the impact that you say you want to, then you got to see this day to its finish, and you got to, keep your nose down to the grindstone. So I think just kind of being your own coach can be a really powerful way to get through your day and get the most out of your days.
And let me just add this too. Be your own coach, speak life into yourself, set the intentions. One other thing I want to say is also keep your commitments. The brain knows when we have weak moments, weak spots. So if you are the person that's constantly like, oh, I'm going to get up, I'm going to be the person that gets up at this time every day and does this. Set the alarm, get up, doesn't happen. Do it again, do it again. Your brain starts to go, oh, he's going to set the intention, but he's not going to do it. So it doesn't have any energy around it. And it actually forces you to be like, no, just stay in bed. It doesn't believe you. So you want to actually be the person, when I get up, I make my bed right away. Like literally right away. Even in the hotel, I set a routine. This is what I'm going to do. On the days that I know I can get a workout in, I get up and I do it. Because if I don't stay true to my commitments I gave to myself, it's going to be hard to stay true to commitments in life. And once you start breaking these commitments, you start having cracks in your foundation. And then over time, the house falls because you didn't stay committed to what you said yes to. And that's why everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go join that race. It's easy to say yes today. And then when you have to do the training and you have to show up that day, that's a lot harder. But if you start by doing small commitments every day, did you say you're going to call that person tomorrow? Call them. And if you get tied up and you can't say, hey, meant to call, I'm still tied up, it's going to be past like our time to be able to talk, let's set a new time. So at least you're following up. You're just not letting that person go. Everything you do, keep your commitments to the best you can. It builds a strong mental foundation. So you actually believe, this is for you, listening, you start to believe that what you say you actually do. And then you become that person. You are becoming anyone who wins at something is because they believed in who they were becoming. And even people that aren't athletes, you're still an athlete in what you do, meaning get up and go take care of yourself, become healthy, not because it's a size, because it's a way of life to have energy, to have longevity, because you're the peak performer in your world. Like you're the pro at what you do. Take care of yourself like you are.
So important, yeah, to make promises to yourself, to others, keep those promises. Because if you're a person who could consistently say, I will do these 10 things and then actually do them, then you're a person who's in control of their life as well as their outcomes. And that is maybe probably the greatest skill you could have. It's just the ability to make and keep promises to yourself on a daily basis, a regular basis. And we're human. Sometimes it's not going to happen. We're not going to keep every commitment that we make to
Agreed.
ourselves. But if you're keeping most of them, 75%, 80%, then let me tell you, you're ahead of the pack by a mile, because a lot of people really struggle with that personal integrity. And I think that's probably a big separator that you see probably between good and great, is the ability to set a plan and then actually execute on that plan on a daily basis.
Definitely. 1,000%. Stay
It,
true to yourself.
it reminds me of a powerful quote I heard from Tom Bilyeu, right? He's the host of Impact Theory. He's a really popular thought leader within the business space, and one of the mantras that I heard him say once, that he says to himself over and over again on a daily basis, is, when I make a plan, I follow through. That's who I am, and that's why I win. And I think that's a really powerful mantra that you can say to yourselves in some of those moments of laziness, and some of those moments that you're feeling resistance to the work that you know that you should be doing. When I make a plan, I follow through. That's who I am. That's my identity. And that is why I will win. And I love that quote. I say it to myself a lot when I feel like bumming off at 2 p.m. and hitting golf balls instead of actually doing the things on my to-do list. And it works. I will say, it really does get me to follow through on my day, on my ambitions for the hours ahead. And I got to go back to something you said there, because you were talking about some affirmations. The first one that you said, and I'm assuming this is something that you did say to yourself in the past, probably still say to yourself now, is you are healthy. And I think we got to talk a little bit about your health journey, right? Because you had 3 strokes. I think you were 25 and the doctor said he doesn't even know how long you're going to be here for. And just curious, like, what did that whole process look like? How did it change your outlook on life? And how does it change how you live your life today?
Yeah, when I was 25, I was working in the hospital taking care of stroke and brain injured patients, which is the irony as a therapist. And I went to a chiropractor and had hurt my back, went to go get adjusted. And when they adjusted my neck, they ripped the artery to my brain. So I was bleeding in my brain and didn't know. And that started a whole ripple effect of things. One, I was told I could die any day. Two, it caused obviously some challenges that I had to overcome, but it's also caused two other strokes, so three total. And ironically, this past weekend was my 6 year anniversary. I kept thinking it was like 4 years ago because it seems like that, but it actually was 6 years ago. But I still have, that was my worst one, and I still have effects from it that I feel and painful, like they're painful nerve pain or things like that. And so on a day to day, I generally feel good, but like there might be days that it hurts to literally walk, or my hands don't always operate the same, or sometimes my speech doesn't even flow out correctly. So I still deal with the residual, and I definitely have some health challenges that if the everyday person would never know some of the things that I go through day to day. But I try to really just, again, I have seen the research. I've seen the power of people visualizing their tumor shrinking, and it did by 50% just by the power of it. So I know what it does to believe and to put out there to be healthy. And it doesn't hurt. I mean, it's going the way it's going. So if at least I could change some of the numbers, that's great. But some days are hard when no one knows what to do, when you're in pain or you're hurting or you have health challenges. And I would say that's probably the biggest thing, is that there's still some things that people don't know why and they don't know how to fix, and that a fourth stroke is possible. I mean, my runway definitely by standards is shorter, but I try not to live into that. I mean, we all don't know when we're going to go. So I just try to put my energy on today. What do I have today? Hopefully this week, honestly, who can I impact? Because when I go, which could be tomorrow, could be next month, could be in 50 years, I don't know. I want to know that I left the world better than I found it. And the only way that I could do that is to literally be present. I take care of my health. I mean, try to stay as optimal as I could because, again, I'm going against the grain here. So it's an intention. I speak life into it. I pray about it. And then I do the work. Like I do the work to make sure I'm optimizing and take care of my health, because I think for anyone listening, you don't need a diagnosis to wait for something to go wrong. And if you're not taking care of yourself as preventative medicine, you're definitely going to get something at some point that's going to come up that you don't want to deal with. So if you can get ahead of it and you could start taking care of yourself, stay active, eat well, you have to make time for it, because otherwise it's coming. You're going to face something. Your body can only take so much. If you keep fueling it like crap, it's going to break down like a car. So your choice of when you want to deal with it. And also I do believe, because I've taken care of myself, when these other strokes have come, I've bounced back faster mentally and physically, more than they would expect, because I've been doing the work.
100%. And I can tell you just from talking to you for 40 minutes that you're absolutely going to leave the world a better place than when you arrived, for sure. And you make your bed at hotels. So housekeeping definitely appreciates that too. So, I mean, come on.
Yeah. I wish the whole world lived like that. Like, honestly, live with intention of push your chair in, pick up something, like leave spaces better than you found them. Because if everyone did that, we wouldn't have to pick up after everyone. Like and they do this a lot in Japan. Like this is a way of life for them. I mean, in the soccer, I think it was the World Cup, literally the people that came from Japan in the stands, they cleaned up the stadium before they left. Their rows, that they're spectators,
That's
but they
wild.
left the space better than they found it. And I was like, hell yeah! I mean,
That's wild.
hello, it's great, but like really, I'm calling everyone up to be better. I'm not saying you have to do more wherever people are exhausted. I'm saying within your space, be better. When you're in your home and there's something, when you get up to go to walk to another room and you see something, take it with you, clean it up, pick it up. My point is, the way of life is you leave spaces better than you found them. watch how you show up in this world and watch how people show up around you.
I love that. I love that. And I wanted to just touch on quickly because you did mention prayer there for a second. How important has your faith been to your ability to show up the way you show up on a daily basis and serve to the level that you do?
Oh my gosh. Everything. I could tell you what it's like without it, and I could tell you what it's like with it. I
Please,
call
please do.
faith, I call faith like Red Bull gives you wings.
I love that. I love that.
Not even kidding. Like, I grew up Italian Catholic, we went to church, but I didn't really have this everyday walk with faith. Now, did I see my mom who went through hardship have faith? I saw her consistently pray, consistently put herself around people that would pray. And when hard times came, there were just these miracles, like honest miracles that would happen where we didn't know some days how they were going to be able to have food or pay the bills. And all of a sudden a check would show up in the mailbox. I mean, it was all sorts of things. But I will tell you that it was not until I was in my early 30, I think it was around 30, like early 30s, that my sister and I was going through something tough, and this elderly couple, Mary and Vinny, came over, and she's like, Dar, I'm just going to start a Bible study. And I'm like, all right. And she's like, come over. Now, this was not like our normal way of life.
Yeah.
And so I just came over and we just sat together. And what it was is I got to see these two amazing people walk out faith. Like when things went, how they handled it, how they prayed, how they bounced back up, how they supported each other. And faith became, I could see it in action, a way of life. Whereas before, I would see people talk about things but not live it out, like it was not a walk. And I saw this light that was in Mary, like truly a light. And I was like, my sister and I would go, Mary, what is that? And she'd say, that's God within me. Like, and we were like, we want that. She goes, it's here. It's literally here for you. Like, it's here for everyone. So I'm telling you, if you open up your heart to faith and seek out God, who's bigger than all of us, there's a plan. Like I said, we came. This joy that is coming through is because I could tell you, it's like when you accept faith into your life and you accept this in and you surrender to something bigger, it is honestly like a switch that goes off. You've surrendered your life in a lot of ways to saying, I don't need to control it all. I just need to be my best. Like, I need to do good. Like these principles, believe in God. I really believe in Jesus. I believe that there is this, you believe in these other people in this world. Like 2,000 years ago, this man walked the earth that I believed. I'm like, that's the greatest goat in my whole life that I've ever seen walk the earth. And the more that I try to live, honestly, the way Jesus lived, which I'm not even close, but when I try, I have to tell you, Brett, my life is a walking example of how things have gotten better at times, how I've gotten through hardship. Even right now, there's things that are happening within my health, and I don't know what I would do without faith. I have no idea. And I have seen miracles happen that when things happen now, I literally get to say, it's only God. I even think about this. What is a 5'2" white female doing in the locker room coaching?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
And even my path is not the traditional path. I work in neuroscience. Like I'm a therapist that has these, but I didn't seek out sports. It sought me. And what I mean by that, I believe truly the people that I've served is who God wanted me to serve at that moment. I was brought to the place that needed my gift. I bring it and then I leave it, and then I bring it and I leave it, like a missionary. I go to where I'm called to. And that is such a peaceful way to live. When you're trying to force yourself in spaces, that's not peaceful. So to answer your question, faith is everything to me because it gives you wings. People say they're tapping into source. I was like, yeah, tap into source. The literally God of the whole universe. Tap into that and see what happens. It's electric.
I love it. I loved seeing just the energy and the happiness really just come off of you, during that entire answer. And I think there's probably a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are hustling and they're grinding, but they're finding no joy in their work. And in a lot of those cases, maybe all those cases, faith is the answer. and find a connection with God, and you
Please.
might find a lot more joy in your life and your work and in your relationships and everything. So it's a question I like to ask. You don't hear a lot on podcasts, but I think just faith is really kind of the cornerstone of a lot of really successful people's lives, and I think it's something that almost has to be talked about in a lot of cases.
Thank you for asking that.
Of course.
Truly.
Coach Dar, this has been an amazing conversation. I know everyone listening is going to take a lot from this. I appreciate you really just being so present and really just bringing the fire today. Where can people keep up with you with all you got going on?
You could go to coachdar.com. You can go, I share a lot of videos on Instagram at the coachdar. And I have an awesome high performance weekend coming up in August. It's all on coachdar.com. It's 2.5 days. It's called the Human Experience. And if it's something you're interested in, you want to, there's more in you and you want to tap into that and have a cool experience in Park City, Utah, on the top of a mountain. It's so beautiful. Come join me in August.
Wow. Coach Dar in Park City sounds like a hell of a weekend. That sounds excellent. Anyone out there who doesn't have anything booked on the calendar, go check that out, because I'm sure that'll be really, really powerful and an impactful weekend. Coach, thank you for being with us. Everyone out there, thank you for listening. This has been The Playbook, and we'll catch you next week.